Welcome to this important video of Python programming. This is an important lecture of sequential loop in which we will discuss different examples of sequential loop to make the concepts more clear and easy. Sequential loops are used to control the flow of program, and these are of different types. There are three main types of sequential loops. One is while loop, second is for loop, and third is nested loop. You can also see many other examples in the upcoming and previous videos of this series. So let's suppose first example is we are given a task to print the sequence of numbers, and the numbers are from 1 to 9, and we will print it in such a way that the numbers are incremented each time by 2. Okay, we are going to perform this by using any of the sequential loop type. So let me move to the program, or let me move to the software of Python, which is called PyCharm. What will I do? I will enter a number, initialize a number, and assign a value to it, which is 1. I will use here the while loop, and I should move it here until a is less than equal to 9, and simple I will print here a, and next I will increase a each time by 2 value. So let me check it, what is the output, whether it becomes okay or not. So first of all, what will I see? Here is a syntax error, which means here is the error, which is a should be equal to less than or equal to 9, and here is the error, which is indentation error. If I want to perform this code, then I should have certain spaces. So I will run this code again, and you can see here there is no error, and this is from 1 to 9. This has been already displayed. So in this way we can print a number. Okay, other way is of this loop of this program is to use the for loop. What will I do? I will initialize a variable, and I will set the variable in such a way that for I in range 1 to 9, okay, 1 to, I can set it here as a, and I will print this value as print a. Okay, each time I will set that each time the value should be increased by 2. And what will I do? I will run this code. Here is some syntax error. Let me run it again, and you can see here that a has been printed, but I want to print a, and you can see here the for loop. Using for loop we can print this number from 1 to 9. In case of range, there are three values. First is the starting value, which is 1. It should be started from 1. If we do not change it, then it will be started from 0. Okay, second is the final value, up to what value it should be displayed. It is 10, but in Python it means indexing starting from 0, and it always ends to a minus 1. Similarly, next is the increment. This too shows the increment, that for how much time it should be increased. If I set it by 1, then it will display each entry and will not skip the intermediate entry. So this is the way how does this program work. Okay, let us move to the other example, which is define a list and print items one by one. We will use this with loop as well. We will define a list and print items one by one. Let us suppose we have a list with the name of few fruits. Let us suppose we have fruits list, and list are defined with large brackets, which are also known as box brackets. Here I define certain fruit names, which is mango, apple, and grapes. I will use these variables. I am going to define for a in fruits, and this will pick the a variable, and one by one each time from fruit I will simple here print a. Okay, let me execute this with the help of short key. We can see here the entry of list name is printed each time. First it will print mango, then apple, then grapes. In this way this program will work. So this is another example which has been completed. What happened to this code? The fruits values are stored in A. So first of all, it will display the entry of A0, which is fruit 0, the entry at 0 index, which is mango. Next, it will display A1, which is fruit 1, the entry as 1 index, which is apple. And next, it will display A2, which is fruits 2, which is the entry at index 2, which are grapes. So in this way, it will work. Okay, let us move to the other example. Here we will enter a number and we will calculate the factors from this number. And how does this program will work? We can see it from here as well, that we are going to print the factors of a number. So how to calculate the factors? First of all, we will enter a number and then we will use a for loop, and each time we will enter the loop in such a way that we will check the entry. Okay, let me clear it to you with the help of a code. We will ask the user, this command is allowed the user to enter the number whose factors are needed. Okay, so the user will enter the number here, and next what will we do? We will use a variable in such a way that it starts from 1 and then it will check till a plus 1, and by default it will increase by 1. First of all, what will we do? We will check the number each time with I. Which means, let's suppose we have entered 2, then it will check first 2 with 1 mod operator, and if the remainder is 0, then we will simply print the factors below. So print I. So if the number is not completely divided by the our actual number, then it will not be printed. So first of all, we can also print here the factors of number R. So in this way we can see here that it will be executed. Let me run this code and I will use the colon sign here and I will enter a number. For example, I enter 5. So what will happen? The factors of 5 are 1 and 5, because 1 is completely divided by 5 and 2 is not completely divided by 5 due to answer of the mod will not be equal to 0, and similarly 5. So let me run it again and check whether it works or not. I will enter the number here as 60. So here the factors of 60 are shown, which is from 1 to 60, and here the few factors are given. In this way this code works. Okay, next is another code. Okay, next another task is given in which the user is asked to enter a number and calculate its factorial. Okay, in order to calculate the factorial, first we will check three conditions. First of all, whether the number is even or whether the number is positive or negative. If the number is negative, then we will not calculate the factorial, and we can say that the number is negative because we do not calculate the factorial of negative number. Second condition, we will check whether the number is 0, because if the number is 0, then we cannot calculate this factorial by manual method. It is a term or a fact that the factorial of 0 is 1. Okay, next we will check another condition which is usually for all the other numbers, and we will perform here the factorial process. What will we do? We will define a variable as start with factorial or f, which is equal to 1, and each time we will use here a for loop, and for loop will be used in such a way that it will be in the range of this number which is given at above. So each time it will calculate and update the value in such a way that it will update the each time value to a certain number, and which is a. So in this way we will perform the calculation and we can see it here whether it works or not. So first of all, I will use that enter the number whose factorial is needed. I will use here whose factorial is needed. Okay, what will I do next? I will define a condition here. If a is less than 0, we will simply print that number is negative. Next condition, if we are going to use more than one if condition, then we use elif keyword. So we use if a is equal to 0, then we will print that factorial is 1. Next condition is that if none of the above condition is true, then we will define a variable I, and it is in the range of 1 to a plus 1. I have already said whenever we are using the range of for loop, then initial value shows the starting point, final value shows the final point, because in case of indexing, the final value is always less than its actual value, so we are using here a plus 1. What will we do? We will define the variable upper case that f is equal to 1. So in this case, we are going to use f is equal to 1, and then we are going to calculate f each time with I. Okay, next, as soon as it gets completed, then we will display that print factorial is f. Okay, let me run this code whether it gets okay or not. I have missed a colon here. I will use the colon here as well, and then I will run it again, and then whenever I will run it again, then I will enter first negative number. You can see here the first part is executed, which means that the number is negative and we do not calculate the factorial of it. Okay, let me run it again for a 0 number. I will enter only 0. So here the factorial is 1 output. So next I will enter an other number which is positive. What will we do? We can see here the number is calculated, and here it is 5 4 are 20, and we can also enter the simple number to verify whether it is true or not. We can enter here 3 and its factorial is 6. So in this way it works, and we have performed some examples of sequential loops here. Hopefully it becomes easier to you and it gets clear to you. In this way you can calculate this. And thank you so much. That was all for this lecture. Here we discuss so many examples of sequential loops so that it become more easier to you. Thank you so much. That was all for this lecture. If you have any question, then you can ask or leave your valuable feedback in the form of comments. Thank you.